we have 3 wines that include the grape variety Semillon in them. The first one is a Semillon from Hunter Valley in Australia. The second one is a white Bordeaux, and it includes Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc that we talked about before. The third one is a Bordeaux as well. It's a white Bordeaux, but it's a sweet white Bordeaux from the Sauternes area, and it's also made from Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc. So let's taste them. For the appearance, the first 2 wines are kind of similar. They are both pale lemon in color, especially the first one, the Hunter Valley Australian Semillon, is even having this kind of green hue in it. It's lemon, almost green-like. Pale lemon, pale lemon. And the third one, the Sauternes from Bordeaux, France, is really different in the appearance. It's deep amber in color. Let's smell them. For the Hunter Valley Semillon, it's quite strange on the smell actually. It's pronounced, but the smell is almost unripe. It has very green apple, lemon, lime, those kind of aromas that really reminds you of, hey, am I gonna drink a lemon juice like wine over here? This kind of zesty lemon zest, lime zest smell. And for the second one, the Bordeaux white wine, it smells quite different. The fruit is mostly about the stone fruit such as peach and apricot. It has some lemon and grapefruit citrus aromas as well. However, on top of that, it has some yogurt, pastry, and vanilla smells. It's very pronounced. Let's smell the third one, the Sauternes. It is also very pronounced. And the fruit aromas are different. They are dried peach, dried apricot, lots of honey, almost those kind of cream fruit cake like smell, and has some vanilla. Lots of smells that just reminds you of a fruit cake or dessert, reminds you of after dinner in Christmas time. Some white raisiny smell as well. Right? They smell very different. Let's taste the first one, the Hunter Valley Semillon. As I described on the smell, this wine really tastes very zesty and refreshing on the palate. It is dry, very high acid. The alcohol is not that obvious. I would even call it a low alcohol wine. And the body is very light. It's very refreshing and zesty. Flavor intensity is pretty pronounced as well, but it's mostly lemon, lime, green apple. Almost herbaceous, but it's not those kind of Sauvignon Blanc like grassy notes. It's just those kind of underripe citrus fruit like aromas. It's like the skins of green melon, the skins of lemon, lime, those kind of zesty flavors. And those flavors stay in the mouth for a long time, so it's long finish. Let's taste the middle one, the Bordeaux white wine. Now the mouthfeel is completely different. It's dry, acidity is lower, but still fresh. I'm still salivating a little bit, so it's medium plus acid. Alcohol is medium. It has a higher alcohol content in this wine. And the body is full for a dry white wine. It's pretty full body. Why is full-bodied? Because it has lots of concentration of texture and flavors on the palate. So it has pronounced flavors of those kind of peach, apricot, and some grapefruit, and lots of least characteristics like yogurt, pastry, bread, toast, and vanilla from the oak aromas. We're gonna discuss that later. And the finish is long. I can still taste some of the fruit and some vanilla and some yeasty, bready characteristics on the palate. So long finish. Lastly, let's do the Sauternes. Another completely different wine because it's sweet, almost luscious. So we call it sweet. Okay, so it's a sweet wine. Acidity is there. I can taste some freshness in it, and I'm still salivating a little bit. So it's medium plus acid. So it does have acid to balance with the sweetness. The alcohol is pretty high, and the body is really full. It's a sweet, almost luscious, full-bodied wine. And flavor intensity, of course, super pronounced, with lots of dried fruit, dried peach, dried apricot, raisins, sultana, those kind of white raisins, lots of honey, lots of fruit cake, lots of things that remind you of the sweetness. Okay? And the finish is filled with those kind of sweet flavors. So it's a long finish on the palate. Semillon is an important white grape variety in the wine world, but often they were blended with other grape varieties. Okay, the first one is 100% Semillon from Hunter Valley in Australia, but the second one and the third wine, they are both from Bordeaux in France, and they are often blended with Sauvignon Blanc. Why is that? Let's discover them by talking about the grape harvest, the growers factors, and the winemaking factors. So for the growers, they harvest these grapes at completely different times. For the first wine, it has high acid, it has lots of greens, fresh citrus aromas, and a lower alcohol. So it's harvested really early. The second wine, when they harvest the Semillon and the Sauvignon Blanc grapes, they harvest them at a higher level of ripeness. So we have medium alcohol, we have those kind of very defined ripe peach, apricot, stone fruit aromas, some ripe citrus fruit like grapefruit, those kind of flavors. Okay? And the third one is completely different now. You harvest this grape extremely late, and the grapes become raisined, and it has some noble rot infection on the grape skins. So we have a botrytis sweet Sauternes made from Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc grapes. By this point, I hope you can understand how important it is for growers to pick grapes at a certain period of time to decide the styles. Again, this is a classic comparison in between very early harvest, okay? Harvest normally, like most grape, we harvest pretty ripe, and also we harvest the grape overripe when they are become raisined or even have some frozen grapes or even have some botrytis infections, like in this wine, when you harvest them late. Okay, so different harvest times. Now for winemaking. For the first wine is 100% Semillon, but it tastes not like most Semillons, because Semillon, most people say, is almost closer to Chardonnay. So it has lots of defined fruit flavors. But because it's picked very early, as we talked about, it's more about the freshness and the zesty feeling. Therefore, during winemaking, it's all about that fresh acid and the fresh fruit flavors. They didn't add any oak, they didn't add any other grape varieties in this wine. But for the middle one, we tasted fuller body, and we smell and tasted some yeasty and oak flavors like vanilla, like yogurt, like pastry. So the second one has some oak and lees influence. Other than that, the second one is not only Semillon, but Sauvignon Blanc. If you remember when we talk about Sauvignon Blanc, it's more about the freshness, just like wine number one. However, if you put in some ripe Semillon into it, it boosts the body. It augmented the body of the wine to make this wine rounder on the mouthfeel and to add some more stone fruit characteristics. And now, because it's rounder and riper, it's suitable for some oak and lees influence to make it a dry, full-bodied white wine. The third one, the winemaking is also very different. Well, not quite different from wine number two, but you are handling a sweet wine over here. So you are harvesting the botrytis, almost raisin rotten grapes, as we mentioned. Therefore, during winemaking, you try to ferment the sugar into alcohol. You try, but at one point the yeasts are stressed out. They cannot consume all the sugar anymore. Therefore, we have some decent amount of alcohol in this wine, but a lot of sugar left behind. And on top of that, because it's such a lusciously sweet wine, the Bordeaux people decide to put some oak into this wine as well. Therefore, you also have the vanilla aromas to add even more complexity in this Sauternes. And don't forget, it's still a Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc blend, but they taste completely different. Cheers!